and it's now time for the morning watch.
Listeners to Love 101 FM are advised that the views and opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily those of Love 101 FM.
Farmers and fishers get Sagicor Agricare, life, health, and critical illness coverage.
Welcome to the Morning Watch on Love 101 FM. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. A special welcome to our listeners on love101.org, and if you're overseas and on the move, U.S. listeners can access us at 712-832-8001. And if you're in the UK, 0330-332-6541. Or join us via the Love 101 FM app that can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can also join us on Love 101 FM Facebook and YouTube Live. In the first watch today, they don't play like we used to, exploring the dangers of online or offline gambling for children. And in the second watch, the OUR survey examining relief for utility customers after a disaster. For our social media question, we ask, what was your favorite game or pastime as a child growing up? We're asking you to share your responses on our Love 101 FM Facebook page and YouTube channel. And also on WhatsApp 876-997-3125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll share your responses later on in the program, but before all of that, here's I quote.
All right, good morning, good morning. Today's I quote says, if you don't like the road you're walking, start paving another one. This one is by Dolly Parton.
Good morning,
Good
Jukal.
morning, good morning.
In other words, instead of cursing the dark,
Mm-hmm.
light a candle.
That's right.
All right, the first watch will be back after this break.
This Thursday on To Have and To Hold, we're telling a love story 27 years in the making. Dr. Colleen Beckles sits down with Pastor Kirk and Minister Rosemary Logan, the dynamic duo behind Comfort New Testament Church of God in Clarendon. He's an ordained minister. She's a school principal, a justice of the peace, and a travel business owner. Together, they're a powerhouse couple grounded in faith, purpose, and lasting love. Join us as they share the real moments, the life lessons, and the faith that's held them together through nearly 3 decades of marriage. It's all happening on the truly marvelous program To Have and To Hold with Dr. Colleen Beckles this Thursday, April 24 at 5:30 p.m. on the family station Love 101.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Now, whatever happened to games like hopscotch, jacks, tic-tac-toe, or Simon Says? Is it that children don't do jigsaw puzzles and make juice box trucks or play Ludo or drafts anymore? Apparently not. Well, not as much as they do online or with electronic games. Now, it's been reported that since COVID-19, there has been an increase in the number of youth engaging in gambling. It's even been blamed for some of the violence in schools. And to discuss this and other related issues, we have online Richard Henry, Program Manager for the Prevention, Treatment, and Research of Gambling Disorders and responsible gambling at Rise Life Management Services. And we also have online Shalika Matthews, licensed associate clinical psychologist. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Thanks for having me.
Great. Good to have you both with us. I want to begin with you, Richard Henry. Whether online or offline, what really is gambling and why is it a concern for children vis-a-vis adults?
The first concern is on the premise that the earlier the onset of gambling activity increases the likelihood that the young person will take this gambling activity into adulthood, which therefore increases the likelihood that they will develop a gambling disorder. Quite a few of the clients that I would see as adults can reflect for me back to when they started being involved with gambling, and a lot of that activity took place when they were in high school and even some in primary school. So there's the issue of early onset leading to adult gambling activity and persons developing gambling disorders, and that definitely would be a concern.
So gambling, what is it really? Because you'd have heard people say life is a gamble. What's gambling?
Gambling refers to any activity that requires, some may have little or no skill, but it is the placing of something of value. And that is important because a lot of our young people think that gambling only involves using money. And it's a placing of something of value on an activity that has high risk and the outcome of which is not determined by your skill. It is important, though, to note that, one of the things that we've been trying to do is to get young people to understand the issue of value. Because when we just started this program in 2005, there were kids who were going to school at the time, not a lot, but gambling a new pair of sneakers that they would have gotten over the weekend. What happens too is that once the money is finished, then you start to look for other things of value. And that is why the value aspect of the definition is so important for young people to understand.
Yeah.
That it's not about money, it's about risking something of value.
Or not necessarily about money, but, generally speaking. And,
Right.
and people gamble their bodies as well, I gather.
That is at an adult level, we find. And we don't have any studies as such. I have anecdotal references because we do training with persons in the gaming lounge. And so, of course, history has shown that one of the easiest ways to get money is always going to be prostitution. And that comes from the fact that someone is gambling and has run out of money and needs money to get back into the activity. And that is where that kind of behavior would come in.
Serious thing. Shalika Matthews, I know we can't or we should not talk about gambling without mentioning addiction. What really is an addiction and what are the signs and symptoms of addiction, especially in terms of online gambling?
Okay. Well, an addiction really means that you have a difficulty not engaging in an activity or a substance. In this instance, it would be you have a difficulty controlling your impulse to engage in the activity of gambling. So it's past that desire, it's past your capacity to control what you do with your activity. You are driven to seek out that because you derive some level of pleasure from it, even if if it doesn't have a positive impact on your life. It could be very detrimental to you, but you still have a lot of difficulty not engaging in the activity.
Yes. And how do we pick it up? Signs, symptoms, especially in regards to online gambling. What should people look for as red flags?
All right. Well, in terms of red flags, you're really looking for something being very detrimental to your functioning. So when you look at addiction, you can get into the nuances of functional addiction versus not, but really what it is, it's that it's impairing your functioning in other areas. So if you would go to work on time, you might find yourself starting to divert time that you would spend with work or family into doing the addiction activities, right? You may realize that your finances are significantly affected, you're not prioritizing your responsibilities. Those are the kind of things. So you're looking for when your regular functioning becomes very affected by your engagement in these activities.
Wow. Richard Henry, what are some of the causes or factors which contribute to online gambling? Can you say?
Whether it's online or offline, I mean, there are a number of factors that can influence. Some might be psychological factors, or even persons who may be suffering from a psychiatric condition. We find that when it comes on to addiction, specifically even gambling, you're talking about persons who may be suffering from depression or anxiety. And that's why one of the things that we do when persons come in is to try and get them measured on that scale, because you can't just treat the gambling in and of itself. You have to treat any other conditions that may have predisposed the person to being involved with gambling. So, for example, there are persons who may be suffering from depression, but find that when they go into the gaming lounge, they feel a lot different. The feeling of sadness is not as prevalent. They feel a lot more upbeat. And so what they learn then is that this is where I need to be. The problem with that is that that's not somewhere that you can be all the time. And also, for you to be able to be in that situation, you also have to have the funding to do that. And that's where a lot of people start to go into funds that they have set aside to do something else, might be for retirement, etc. And that's when you run into difficulty. For a lot of the young people being involved with gambling, one of the things that predisposes them is a desire for risk taking, some for curiosity, and just wanting to know what it would be like to be involved with this activity. When it comes to online gambling, one of the issues that we have is that some young people are led into the activity just through gaming. So it doesn't seem like gambling activity. It seems like a game that you're playing.
A game, yes.
And then you'll see something that will pop up on the screen that may say to you, well, you've completed this level. What if you had bet so-and-so, you would have been here? And so sometimes there are games that introduce young people to gambling by introducing low-value benefits in terms of, so for example, there's something that they call skins, that in a particular game, when you play it, you can win skins, and the more skins you win, you can trade, etc. So now that you've introduced something of value, and young people now go after that to see how many skins they can get to be able to trade up higher, to be able to get more and more. And that is almost coming through the back door and getting young people involved in that sort of activity. Not by outrightly saying, do you want to bet? But by introducing these sort of low-value rewards for winning, etc.
Okay, stick up in right there. We are up on a break, and when we return, we want to hear from Shalika Matthews, what she'll have to say on that as well. Soon come back.
It's time to twist and win with Coca-Cola. Enter for a chance to win a magical travel experience, carnival costumes, TVs, earbuds, and so much more. Entering is easy. Just purchase any Coca-Cola with a white cap. WhatsApp the code under the cap to 876-214-5756. And that's it. Visit us on Instagram at Wasinko Hub or Coca-Cola Jamaica for more information. It's time to twist and win with Coca-Cola. Jamaica. It's your turn to triple the blessings. Saturday, May 24, Randy Williams Entertainment Center, and Sunday, May 25, Montego Bay Community College. Performances by the Foster Triplets. 4 days late, Karen Peck and New River, Joan Myers, and saxophonist Ricky Niles. For more information, visit thefostertriplets.com. Contact 876-478-3604 via WhatsApp or call 876-475-0521. Triple the blessings. Part proceeds in aid of the Jamaica Christian School for the Deaf and the Salvation Army School for the Blind.
Every day, we use our feet to walk, run, and take us to amazing places. But your feet can do something even more amazing. A simple step can change a life. Join Guardian Group's Shine 5K Night Run, formerly the Keep It Alive 5K, and make us try to support the Noel Holmes Hospital, the Bustamante Hospital for Children, and Project Star. Saturday, May 10 in Kingston and Saturday, May 24 in Montego Bay. New name, but same epic vibe. Register today at run2shineja.com or runningeventsja.com and see you at Shine 2025.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. And this is the first watch. We are examining the dangers of online or offline gambling for children. And in so doing, we have online Shalika Matthews, licensed associate clinical psychologist, as well as Richard Henry, who is a program manager for the prevention, treatment, and research of gambling disorders and responsible gambling at Rise Life Management Services. I believe before the break, I had indicated that we're going to now hear Shalika Matthews as we get her take on the whole aspect of the causes or factors which contribute to gambling in general. Shalika Matthews, your time.
Good morning. So, we really live in a society where we have to balance the use of technology and traditional play, particularly in our young people, right? So, there is a lot more exposure to gambling type activities that were more allocated for adults. No, there's more access, like Mr. Henry mentioned, with like loot boxes in games. You can buy a little thing here, scratch cards. But even in more traditional activities like arcade games and claw machines, there's an element of chance and an element of risk where when young people engage in it, there's a sort of high of the possibility of winning. We all know what it's like to win, and we all know what it's like to succeed generally when you do something good. And what can happen if we engage in a lot more of these activities is we seek this feeling. And because we're seeking this feeling, we're doing more and more things. And if you happen to have the fortune early on to win, you start seeking it. And what happens with games of chance quite often is that somewhere in losing, you win. And you feel, oh, this is good. Let me do more of this. But the more that you gamble, the more that you have to figure out what, as Mr. Henry said, what is of value that you have to put to keep getting this feeling, to keep seeking. And those are the nuggets or the beginnings of a gambling problem, right? Where you're going after more and more this feeling, and you're putting more effort, more time, more resources into seeking it. And while it may not look like a big deal, it is an early risk factor. It's building what we call a template for later on when you do have access to more resources, more money, and you walk into a gambling casino, you're like, this is nice. Let me do more of this, because now you have the actual resources to engage in that activity in a more formal way. But when we form patterns over time, and it usually starts from when we're younger. So there is a template in your head where you're just like, I like this feeling of winning. I like when I take a risk and I come out on top. And seeking activities that do that can become a problem if not managed effectively.
Yeah. And still with you, Shalika Matthews, what would you say to those who are saying, well, so what? I mean, if it makes you feel better, if it gives you a euphoria, if it makes you want to go for more in terms of what you value, as a game. What's wrong with that? What's the big deal?
Okay. Well, seeking sensation in itself is not a problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
We are generally, as human beings, predisposed to seek out things that make us feel good. But there's a cost to some of these types of behaviors. What you want to seek is behaviors that are good for you. So having a hobby like running is good for you,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's physical activity. If
Mm-hmm.
you want to engage in certain activities like, gambling, that's fine if it feels good for you, if you're able to manage it appropriately. Where the
Right.
challenge comes in is if you say, I have $20 and I use in this $20 and we're good. When it done, it done.
Mm-hmm.
However, if the $20 finish and you take out $100 or you take out 1,000 and 5,000, there becomes a heavier price to engaging in this euphoria that outweighs the positivity of it. And that's where you have to really balance it in
Mm-hmm.
making sure that the things that you're engaging in that give you a positive feeling are actually good for you and not just a short-term high, so to speak.
And not to belabor the point, but what about those who say they're okay with that? That they're it moves from $20 to $1,000 to 5,000. That they're okay with that. They have the money, they see it as fun, and they know that one day they might just hit the jackpot.
But the truth is, we, as in the field of psychology, there's a level where you have to give people the sense of and accept that people have control of their own lives, right? So the
Mm-hmm.
most we can do is inform and make sure people are aware of the possible downfalls of how this can be a consequence or detrimental to their lives. But we
Okay.
don't have any control over the choices people make,
Yeah.
right? Quite often when you look at addiction, people have to hit a threshold where they see the level of impact that this has on them before they're able to make a change, to adjust and go a different way.
Yeah. Uh Richard, Henry, for want of a better phrase, what are the recommended treatment options?
Well, um, I should have started out by saying persons with a gambling disorder primarily have an issue in cognition.
Which means
And
what?
so they have an issue in the way that they think.
Mm-hmm.
They ascribe a certain pattern to situations that have absolutely no pattern, that happens randomly. So a lot of the persons that we see as adults to get help believe that they have a special gift in terms of, for example, picking numbers,
Mm-hmm.
that they have this skill. And what compounds it is that most persons with a gambling problem generally have at least one big win.
Mm-hmm.
That big win sits in your brain. We call it euphoric recall. And when you have lost enough money and should really be coming or toning down your gambling,
Mm-hmm.
it's that big win that sits in your brain that says, I did it before. A lot of people have never done it.
Can do it
I
again.
can do it again.
Yes.
And so every time you want to walk away from it, there is this, I can do it again.
Yeah.
I think one of the factors, so it's what we would look at for that is cognitive behavioral therapy in terms of the counseling process. But I think we also have to pay some attention to that. The factor of finances and economics plays a big role in terms of gambling. I know, in particular, here in Jamaica. So there are people who try to earn a living from playing games of chance.
Right.
Yeah.
A source of
And
income.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that comes genuinely from the fact that they're not employed, they have family to take care of, et cetera, et cetera. And this is definitely not recommended because gambling activity is solely for fun and entertainment. It is not work.
But there are
Um,
those, stick up in that, Mr. Henry. There are those who I have seen who operate as if it is a job, an occupation, a vocation. They clock in at a certain time at the gambling center and they clock
yeah,
out.
yeah. And
They,
most
they
certainly.
study things. They study which race horse is this and who's riding that horse at a
Okay.
particular time. It's a profession.
They study to the point of even in the gaming lounges, when the supervisor is working, when the technical guy is working, because they have made, remember I said to you that persons with a gambling disorder have issues in cognition with the way that they think. So they have ascribed their ability to win with whether the technician has come to recalibrate the game or, do whatever he does daily. And so there are some people that believe that you can't win till after he comes.
Yes.
There are people who believe that you must get to the gaming lounge before he comes.
Right.
And what he does to as his job has absolutely nothing to do with you winning or losing. But again, people make these connections where there are absolutely no connections to be made. But these connections will continue to drive people, some people, to gamble and do what is probably the most dangerous element is do what we call chasing. And I believe even too that young people
What's chasing?
do chasing. So it is you've played a game, you've lost, and then again this issue with the way that you're thinking that you have a reason why you lost. Maybe I lost because I didn't have my lucky pen in my hand. And so you can go and play again because you're trying to win back the money that you've already lost.
Okay.
And then you probably play again and you lose again. This happens a lot in gaming lounges.
Yes.
And then you ascribe, I didn't win because the cashier, and this is from experience, is the salt cashier. Let me use the other cashier. Again, people have issues with the way that they think.
Yes.
And they play again. And so they're gone into the lunch money. Then they're gone into the kids' money for school fee. Again, it's with the intention that I'm going to win on the next bet. And so people can continue doing that for a while and chase the money that they've already lost, but I can guarantee them that they'll never win it back.
Somebody listen might say they don't know that as their experience that they have won it back.
I can sit with them and show them that all that they have lost, they have not won it back.
Yes, 'cause they don't calculate everything.
No, they don't. Yeah. They calculate how it suits them. Again, it's the issue with cognition.
Yes,
and the way that you think.
Yes,
rational thinking people. It's one of the hallmarks too of persons with an addiction is that the behavior and thinking becomes irrational.
Let me bring in again, Miss Matthews. Miss Matthews, you have the final word, I believe, in terms of treatment options from your angle. What needs to be done? What can be done?
When we're talking about addiction, really, one of the most important things is a recognition that something is wrong, right? Because in any behavior we're gonna keep doing it if we think it's good for us, right? There has to be a recognition that this is not serving me, even if I enjoy it. We have to start, as Mr. Henry said, shifting that perspective that this is a good idea. This is something we should do. And shift it into the awareness that this is really not good for me. And particularly with our young people, increasing the awareness from no, so that we don't create those patterns where they're more likely to chase this high and this feeling, or because it is, as we mentioned earlier, chance. It's not skill. We have no control over the algorithms, over what the machines are doing, over what the horse does. None of those are in our control, and it's reminding people and shifting the focus through therapy, through intervention to say we have to focus on things in our control. We have to do things that we enjoy that actually serves us. We have to work on those activities and shift our thinking and avoid activities and spaces that trigger those behaviors so that we can get our lives in the way we want it to be and not expose ourselves to things that are detrimental to us.
Right. Okay. So recognition, you're saying, and quickly, next thing, we have just a couple seconds after the recognition.
Okay. So after you recognize it, you have to seek out intervention like therapy or counseling to ensure that you are given the strategies to cope with the addiction feelings, as well as ways to change your life. So if you don't have the answers, seek intervention from services which do and can give you strategies to help you manage those behaviors.
Great. All right. Thank you so very much, ladies and gentlemen, for being with us. Very informative, very insightful. Have a safe and productive day.
All right. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Listeners, the Morning Watch will return in just a moment.
Open a deposit account in the JN Bank Savings Streams promotion and save monthly for a chance to win an all expenses paid trip to Peru. Enter now. The time by JN Bank Savings Streams promotion is
7:30.
Jamaica and its workforce are advancing quickly. Life-changing opportunities are arising. You need training and support. We are the Renewed Heart NSTA Trust, committed to providing new and emerging skills training and opportunities. Come to Heart. We'll help you claim your place in the workforce of the future.
What are your financial goals? Consider who you are and where you want to be. Do you want to open your own business? Do you want to own a home? Invest in properties? Go back to school? Send your children to school? Then you have to save. But first, you have to have a budget. This financial literacy tip was brought to you by Bank of Jamaica, building an inclusive economy.
This Thursday on To Have and To Hold, we're telling a love story 27 years in the making. Dr. Colleen Beckles sits down with Pastor Kirk and Minister Rosemary Logan, the dynamic duo behind Comfort New Testament Church of God in Clarendon. He's an ordained minister. She's a school principal, a justice of the peace, and a travel business owner. Together, they're a powerhouse couple grounded in faith, purpose, and lasting love. Join us as they share the real moments, the life lessons, and the faith that's held them together through nearly 3 decades of marriage. It's all happening on the truly marvelous program To Have and To Hold with Dr. Colleen Beckles this Thursday, April 24 at 5:30 p.m. on the family station Love 101.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Let's now look at the newspapers to see what Jamaicans and others are saying and doing in the Observer. PIOJ calls for strategic approach to high-skilled migration. Also in the Observer, U.S. judge grants access to Antigua PM's financial records. In Loop News, Belize police commissioner says justifiable force used to kill hijacker of plane carrying passengers. Also in Loop News, government ministers urge tertiary students not to shy away from politics and the voting process. Interesting. And in Gleaner, magnitude 6.2 quake shakes Istanbul and injures more than 230 people. And then finally in the Gleaner, WRA completes water quality assessment of Black River watershed. Those are some of the newspaper stories. So those are some of the highlights. Coming up next, we'll read some of the feedback from our social media question. What was your favorite game or pastime as a child growing up? We're asking you to leave a comment on our Facebook page and YouTube channel, Love 101 FM Jamaica, or WhatsApp 876-997-3125. We'll be right back.
This Thursday on To Have and To Hold, we're telling a love story 27 years in the making. Dr. Colleen Beckles sits down with Pastor Kirk and Minister Rosemary Logan, the dynamic duo behind Comfort New Testament Church of God in Clarendon. He's an ordained minister. She's a school principal, a justice of the peace, and a travel business owner. Together, they're a powerhouse couple grounded in faith, purpose, and lasting love. Join us as they share the real moments, the life lessons, and the faith that's held them together through nearly 3 decades of marriage. It's all happening on the truly marvelous program To Have and to Hold with Dr. Colleen Beckles this Thursday, April 24 at 5:30 p.m. on the family station Love 101.
Thank God for Calvary. Thank Him for
Hearts and Hands invites you to a fundraising concert for Reverend Glenn Graham. He has given us songs that have kept us going through the years.
when you run from the preacher man. 6 men.
And now it's our turn to lend a helping hand. Join us on Sunday, April 27 at 6 p.m. at the Maypen New Testament Church of God for this fundraising venture.
I've got a happiness in my soul.
Come and see Lubert Levy, Fabian Wright, Sebastian Graham, Prince Hall, Glenn Cruz, Zazan, Venetia Stone, Oliver Ashley, Derek McFarlane, Tarsha Williams, Edwin Myers, Mr. Handsome, and more. MCs Nadine Blair and Markland Edwards. Admission, a love offering of $2,000. It's the fundraising concert to help our brother, Reverend Glenn Graham. Sunday, April 27 at 6 p.m. at the Maypen New Testament Church of God. All of us, for one of us. Let's do this. See you there. A Love 101 endorsed event.
Yes, I believe in hope for a better.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Let's now join Jokal for a look at how our Facebook, YouTube, and WhatsApp friends answered today's question. What was your favorite game or pastime as a child growing up? Jokal?
All right, Nadine Thompson from Portmore Mall says, Good morning, Morning Watch. I have a lot of childhood games. Dandy Shandy, Ludi, skipping, bingo, and a whole lot more. Let's hear from Cherry. Cherry said, My favorite game as a child was Dandy Shandy. Some call it Sightings and Jacks. There were so many games to play as a child that kept us active and well-rounded. All right, we also have from Edna in Montego Bay. Edna, let me hear from you.
Good morning, Morning Watch. Good morning, Love 101 listeners and staff. My favorite games are some of them is I used to like to play Dandy Shandy. I used to like to play marbles with the ball, marbles and cashew. You lick out the cashew out of the ring and the cashew is yours, or you lick out the marble out the ring and the marbles are yours. You used to love to play those games and tag on war, ride donkey and them stuff. Our days, I'm telling you, we never have whole lot of free time to that, But when we get free time, we do road. Yes, man.
That's right. Thank you for your responses. Thank you, Edna.
Jokal, which games you used to play?
Hide and seek, baseball, Dandy Shandy.
You play Dandy Shandy too?
Of course. Of course. All the time.
Okay. I leave it at that. Thank you very much for those who responded. Interesting comments. As we segue to the second watch, the Office of Utilities Regulation, that is OUR, is reaching out to utility customers to get their input about the kind of relief that can be applied in the event of a natural disaster. The OUR wants to know what actions customers think utility providers should take following force majeure events. Now, force majeure events are, of course, acts, events, or circumstances beyond the party's control, including natural disasters such as hurricanes, epidemics, or the outbreak of hostilities. And such conditions may impact customers and the utility providers' obligations under their mutual agreement for service, payment of bills as per contract, and quality of service agreements such as the guaranteed standards. So, what exactly is the OUR asking us to do? Well, to answer this question and others, we have online Colette Good, OUR, Consumer Affairs Policy Specialist. Good morning to you, Miss Good.
Good morning, Dr. Toussaint, and good morning to your listeners.
Great, great. Thanks for joining us this morning. Now, let's begin at the very beginning. What more really can you tell us about the nature of the survey and why is such a survey considered necessary at this time?
Great, thank you. I really relish this opportunity to share this
Mhm.
information with the listeners. Now, the survey, as you have already stated, is to get the ideas from the customers about the relief that they would want from their utility service providers, and we are focusing on the major ones: the Jamaica Public Service Company Limited, the National Water Commission, and the two major telecommunications providers, Digicel and Flow. Now, we have recognized that over the years, when due to the impact of disasters or pandemics such as the COVID-19 pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
both the service providers and the customers suffer negative impacts.
Yeah.
Now, the service providers can submit requests to the OUR to get relief, as you had mentioned, from some of their obligations, which include the guaranteed standards which are in place for JPS and the NWC. That was done during the COVID-19 pandemic. And so we would review those requests and we would make a decision regarding the relief that is to be granted specifically to the guaranteed standards. So we have realized that, there is an imbalance, because while the service providers can submit a request for relief, there really isn't anything established for the service providers to provide relief to their customers. They do it on a discretionary basis,
Yes.
but we think that it is important that something be established. And so we have embarked on this process to establish relief measures for these utility customers. And to start the process, we have developed the survey. We have developed a survey that we have put on, that we are administering through Google Forms. It's a short survey, I would say, only 16 questions. And of the 16, only 2 require any writing. The others, you just need to click the most applicable choice.
Sean.
So we are asking customers to go on. Well, you can gain access to the survey through our website. That's our.org.jm. On the homepage of our website, there is a link that that your listeners can just click to get access to the survey.
Okay. You mentioned about service providers, and of
Yes.
course, Digicel and Flow would have been highlighted there, as well as the Water Commission and the JPS as well. Are you still there, Miss Good?
Yeah, I am here, but the connection is a
Oh, you're having some
little choppy.
difficulty.
So I heard Digicel, Flow,
Yes, right.
and I believe you would have said National Water Commission and the Jamaica Public Service Company.
Right. So, someone, I'm just asking, and we're up on a break. So, when we come
Oh,
back, you can respond about other service providers if they're also considered in all of this survey. But we'll be right back.
Dr. Toussaint.
The
world is changing and so should you. Diversify your career and get local and international certification in 2 to 6 months at Distinction College. Start online and face-to-face class in medical assistant, medical lab tech, pediatrics and psychiatric nursing, ECG tech, home attendant, hairdressing, makeup, meal tech, call center, supervisory and events planning management, cashiering, media broadcasting and travel tourism. Register this week and get free subjects and free courses. No subjects required, no age limits. Visit us in Kingston, Spanish Town, Ochoa, and St. Elizabeth. Call us at 876-356-4167.
Mama work hard, for real. She do the most to send me and my brother go school. So, the dream was always to go to university. Well, I fulfilled 2 dreams with 1 Jane Bank savings plan, you know. I further my education and I make mama proud.
Save so you can make the part, travel far, graduate like a star.
Stop wishing you could. With your Jane Bank savings, you absolutely can. Jane Bank will help you find a way.
This Thursday on To Have and To Hold, we're telling a love story 27 years in the making. Dr. Colleen Beckles sits down with Pastor Kirk and Minister Rosemary Logan, the dynamic duo behind Comfort New Testament Church of God.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. And in this, the second watch, we are examining the OUR survey in terms of the relief for utility customers after a disaster. We have online Colette Good, OUR Consumer Affairs Policy Specialist. Still with us, Miss Good?
Yes, I am, Dr. Toussaint.
Great. So the other service providers, they might be, not as well known as the big ones, but are they also involved in the whole survey in terms of what you want to capture and what you want to do?
Not at this time, not in this instance. There are, of course, there are smaller private service providers.
Yes.
And these are specific to the water and storage sectors as well as the telecom sectors. So because of the nature of the licenses for these smaller private providers, they really serve specific geographical areas across the island.
Right.
And so whenever we are doing anything in relation to those smaller private providers, we prefer to focus on them as a distinct group of service providers. So in this instance, we are focusing on the major service providers.
Great. Now, was a similar survey ever done before? And if so, what were the findings? How were they utilized?
Well, not by the OUR. So no, it is the first time that the OUR is conducting a survey of this nature. However, we had in 2021 through a consultant examined whether there are provisions for utility customers after of what is known as a force majeure event, which you had outlined what some of those events are. And the COVID-19 pandemic was certainly a force majeure event. And so we asked the consultant to examine whether through in the terms and conditions of service, which really is a contract that the service providers sign with their customers, whether there is any relief, whether there are any relief provisions in those contracts for customers. And we found that generally there was none, or it wasn't very clear. And that research not only looked at what happens in Jamaica, but it looked at whether provisions are provided outside of Jamaica by any country that was, and whether there was anything that we could adopt for our circumstance. So that was kind of a research methodology that we applied to examine this particular issue. But what we have decided to do is to go further and do this survey now locally. And as I mentioned, it is a part of a process because what the survey will do is it will feed into a document that will be developed because the OUR is very keen on getting the feedback from all its stakeholders, but particularly its largest stakeholder group, which is utility consumers, on any decision that it's going to make. Hence the survey, but we will also use the information from the survey to develop what we call our consultation document, and that document will outline the issue that we are taking public's views on. It will include our view, our perspective in the sense that, for example, on what measures we think could be put in place and seek the public's, including which would include the customers, service providers, all interest groups on those measures, and also to ask whether, in addition to what we have proposed, whether there is anything else that they would propose. So that consultation document will follow the survey later on this year.
Yes. Walk us through the process. Whom specifically will be surveyed? And you mentioned about going online.
Yes.
How will that be done and over what period of time? Is there a cutoff date?
Yes. All right. So the survey is really geared towards getting information from the customers of the main service providers. That, again, I repeat, JPS.
Across the board.
Yes, across the board. As long as whether you're a business customer or a residential customer, we want to hear from you.
Is it for those who are who pay the bills, where their names are on the account?
Well,
those whose names are not on the account, but they are family members.
Well, it would be for those whose names are on the account, because in most instances, or in all instances, it would the relief, if it is monetary, it may affect only the account holder. So, for example, if the company decides to give a moratorium, for example, on collection. So they're saying, okay, we will suspend collection for a 1 month period. It is really the account that will be affected and the account holder. Or if disconnection of the service, it would be the account holder that would be affected.
Wouldn't it be good to get information from the non-account holders as well, seeing that they'll be impacted by this, not just the account holder?
Sure. We will invite comments from everyone, but I guess we will have to see how the measures, what measures could be applicable for non-account holders, if any, because we appreciate that the service providers really only have a contract with their customers, with their account holders.
And the period of time, when is the cutoff date?
The survey, the deadline for responses is midnight, April 30, which is next Wednesday.
Mm-hmm. I noticed that one of the required questions, if I may say so, is whether the responder is female or male.
Yes.
Now, in an anonymous survey like this, why is that regarded as being so important?
It is important because we want to have information on the demographic of the responders. We do recognize that
Why?
in in other surveys that we do,
Yeah.
we ask a similar question so that we can gauge who are the account holders in terms of the male or female sex,
But
which
you know,
male or
wouldn't those figures, that information be hard if you needed it from the service providers?
yes,
Why would OUR need to know that at this stage?
we wouldn't know which who from the if we ask that information of the service providers, we wouldn't know whether that service provider was a respondent to the survey. So it is one of the questions that we include as part of the demographics in the survey, so that we can just have a feel on the in terms of the mixture of male or female respondents.
So the age categories are also in the questionnaire?
Yes, yes, because we'd like to know what's the age range, what the age range is for our respondents, and the age range with the greatest number of respondents.
All right. Now another question on the questionnaire, if my memory serves me right, I'm paraphrasing, would ask, do you agree that utility providers should provide force majeure relief for their customers in the events that were highlighted earlier? Now, if most responders disagree or strongly disagree to a question like that, how will that response affect the final decision?
Well, it would be included. We would certainly would so indicate. Remember, as part of the process, we said that the document, the consultation document, will be published as well. So we would also indicate the nature of the responses from the survey in the consultation document, and also wait again the particular if they strongly disagree,
Yes.
then we would definitely have to consider that.
That you won't do it then, because people say they disagree. I'm just wondering, because this is essential. I mean, there are those who might be saying, the answer should already be there. That this is important. This is vital. You don't have to do a survey to know that. How you respond to that?
Yes, but we want people to tell us it is important that we get the data. The data is critical. We make decisions based on the data that we get. And as I mentioned before, even if persons strongly disagree, majority of them, we still there is still that imbalance. The OUR recognizes that there is still that imbalance of the service providers being allowed to request relief, but their major one of their major stakeholder groups will also suffer damage, suffer negative impact, but not have established relief in place for them to have access to. So it is something that we will still consider.
You are not taking anything for granted.
No.
Okay, good. Following it clearly. And just finally, quick one. The results will be made known to the public
in the consultation document. Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you very much for joining us. Colette Good.
You are welcome, Dr. Toussaint, and thank you for. I hope your listeners will join us and participate in the survey. Just
OUR.org.jn.
Thank you.
Thanks for being with us. Bless you. Good. Listeners, thanks for joining us. For information how to get copies of this program, call our production department at 876-968-9596-7. This has been the Morning Watch. Thanks to our producer, Kathy Gale, and our guests. Join Mr. Stokely Marshall next week as he continues to look at the issues of the day. I'm Dylan Toussaint, giving a shout out to the pastors and members of the Church of God in Jamaica who are having their annual assembly meetings at Arden High School, as I return you to Love in the Morning.
At the Ministry of Health and Wellness, we are committed to the values of care,